Welcome back to episode 3 of the Any Other Day podcast. I'm Ross.
I'm Chaylun.
And in this podcast, we'll be talking about our NBA predictions for the 23-24 season. And we'll also be talking about some stories that we have, like maybe childhood trauma stories, maybe funny stories that we have, childhood. And first, I want to discuss kind of like where you can find us at. So we do have an Instagram now, and it's on Instagram where we go under the AOD pod. So you can find us there. And we're as of right now, we're on YouTube and Spotify to where you can listen to us, our full length podcast. And as of right now, we are also trying to get on the Apple podcast, but it's a lot longer process to get on there and be able to kind of get our podcast on there for y'all to listen to. But yeah, we'll try to get that as soon as we can. So the first thing we want to talk about is our NBA predictions for the 23-24 season. So I'm a Knicks fan. I've been a Knicks fan for a while now. So my predictions for them, I'm hoping that we have Jalen Brunson, which had an amazing season last season, and we have our young guy RJ Barrett, and sadly we still have Julius Randle. I'm not. He's good, but I kind of wanted to get rid of him during the offseason. And we're also going to talk about Chaylun's team. What's your team? Who do you?
I'm a Grizzlies fan through and through, but I'm a LeBron guy. I follow him wherever he goes. So I root for the Lakers just because of LeBron. And they had a pretty interesting offseason. People were talking about how Austin Reeves was gonna, need a big deal worth $100 million, but they ended up getting on a really good deal of just 4 year at 56. We actually played against Austin Reeves in high school. Gave him a big fat L. That's probably the highlight of that year. And there may have been a little home cooking. It was at Tuckerman. But I like to say that we just beat him. Whenever anybody at work or somewhere talks about him, I like to throw it out there that I was on the team that beat him in high school. It was really good additions keeping Rui and D'Lo. They were big-time part of the big playoff run that we had and the great record we had after the All-Star break. Adding Gabe Vincent, who just had a really, really good playoff run, was really, really good. He averaged almost 13 points a game and nearly 4 assists while still shooting almost 38% from 3. So that's really, really good. I think it would be a really, really good addition to the point guard position. Take a lot of the usage away from LeBron, maybe keep him and save his legs for the playoffs. And I hope that just allows him to be able to play more games and just to play at the level he does play at,
Yeah.
Like you could tell in the Denver series, he was kind of getting took out of him, especially that last game when he went for 30-something in the first half. He just didn't have anything left in him. I mean, he's almost 40 years old. So it's hard for him to be LeBron all the time. And then the role players, Jackson Hayes, what they're going to try to do, too big with him and Anthony Davis, who just got a humongous extension, which I don't really like. I wish they would have traded him while he still had some value and got a couple young talent pieces. But they also got Taurean Prince and Cam Reddish, who will really be playing some serious minutes, I think, for the Lakers this year. Next, we'd like to talk about the Grizzlies and the John Morant suspension. It's been pretty big drama over that.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, what is the memes? He's saying that he's trying to make it out of the NBA and into the hood.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't understand. You finally like everyone as a kid. If you're a basketball fan, you play the sport of basketball, you kind of dream of making it one day, like into the league. As a kid, that's just like a dream you have. And I don't understand. Like, it's one of the hardest things to do as a basketball player is make it to the NBA. So I don't understand why you would throw that all the way, whenever you get some money. Like, he's an idiot. He's flashing his gun on Instagram Live. Like, what?
Yeah, I thought 25 games was a little harsh. I know he already had one offense, but 25 games for just showing a gun, didn't even do anything wrong. Like, you have people who, beat their wives and nothing happens to them. So I just don't really know. But I like to see what you think about how you think the Grizz are going to be in the 25 games. Like, what the record, who do you think is going to be able to stand out for the Grizz?
I think Desmond Bain. I think he's gonna stand out a lot. I mean, even whenever they didn't have Jaw for like those few games, they still played pretty good as a team together.
Yeah, like no, they know how to win without Jaw. Like,
Yeah,
they
they
had
do.
an insane record without him when
Yeah.
he didn't play last year. So, I mean, I'm not really too worried about him. I think the trade from Marcus Smart will help him tremendously defensively, especially when Jaw comes back. But while he's out, he'll have to step up and play a little more offense. But I think he can step up and do that. He did that for Boston at some points.
Yeah.
You know, even though he's not a prolific scorer, that's not what he's known for. But he will definitely be a huge contribution. He'll be a lot better version of Tyus Jones, in my opinion.
As a team, though, Memphis is like they seem like they're like have really really good chemistry. Almost whenever, kind of like when Gasol was on the Grizzlies and Mike Conley. Like they just seem like they play really, really well as a team together. It's more like well-rounded instead of just like one player having to carry or something like that.
Even though Jaw is, MVP candidate,
Oh yeah,
top player when he does play, they kind of play together. Jaw will have a quiet 30 or 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but he still gets everyone involved. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like he's just going out and getting his. Like he's not a stat patter or nothing.
No. And like you said, Desmond Bain, he's been my guy. I've been a big on Desmond Bain for a few years. Last few years he's been on a tear. Last year he averaged nearly 22 points and 5 assists last year, and he shot 48 from the field and 40% from three, which is just
insane.
40% from three, for those of you who don't know, is like absolutely insane, especially for the NBA. High school, it's really hard, but NBA is really, really hard to shoot that good. Hope he makes a big jump without Jaw. Hope he maybe gets his first All-Star. He was kind of on the leaner last year to maybe get some votes, but the big story will be how will Jaren Jackson Jr. play Triple J? How will he come off DPOY? How will he come into this year? He had to be the leader. He had to be their guy, their all-star. So he'll have to try to be the driving force and seeing if they win some games. And I think they'll go 16-9. That's my prediction in the first 25 without him. I think that's how good they'll do.
That's pretty good. Like
16 wins is pretty good.
Yeah, it's not out.
I think it'll keep them afloat.
Yeah, it's definitely not undoable. I mean, they could definitely do that easily.
How do you think Ja will play when he comes back? Like, what do you think he's going to have to do to get back to where he was before all this stuff started happening?
To be honest, with how athletic and stuff he is, I don't feel like he's gonna have any trouble like finding his groove. And I'm sure he's still nonstop working on his game, but he kind of just needs to focus on like his image more than anything. Like he's a role model to these kids that watch Memphis and just in the league, like just the NBA, totally like in total. So he just needs to just worry about his game, keep his keep his personality or whatever he wants off the internet.
Yeah, he is very, very immature to be such a big star. Like his counterparts, the young stars like Luka, he keeps himself good image in the press. Like that's a big part of being a superstar. Like you not only have your team looking at you, but you have the rest of the league, and like you said, kids, role models, like people that look at you as a role model. And just one thing like that could teach kids like, oh man, I can go gangbang. I can do all this stuff and still play basketball, when really it could get some kids into a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean nowadays you see it all the time, like gun violence and all that. Like it seems like nobody ever nothing can ever end in just an argument. It seems like if someone gets mad at someone else, it's like they just want them dead. Like you see it all the time. There's so many shootings.
Yeah, but I hope that he's able to mature and do what he said he did last year and getting real help before he came back. I don't think he really did. I think he was just ready to get back to play basketball. But I hope he gets the help he did this offseason and in those 25 games. And him sitting on the bench, I hope he realizes what he's doing to his team by not being out there, because he is their guy. Like he is definitely their number one. And but I think that when he comes back, I think he'll have a big year. Obviously, he missed too many games to be an All-Star, All-NBA type of award on his award scale. But I think he'll get him to like a 50 to 52 win team. I think they'll still be middle 3, 4, 5, 6 seed in the West, hopefully.
Yeah. So yeah, now I kind of want to talk about the Suns super team. With the addition of Bradley Beal and their loss with Chris Paul. So what do you think? Like, do you think they're all going to play well together? Do you think Bradley Beal is going to kind of shine like he did before?
I don't think he will be as big of a guy, but I think listen to him talk. I think he's a very mature player, and he knows when he played with John Wall, he kind of took a number 2 spot. Like he still was a prolific scorer, but he knew he took his spots. He picked his spot in a game when he needed to go get a couple buckets, whenever he needed to facilitate stuff like that. So I think offensively there will be no worries, but defensive end they're going to be horrific.
Yeah,
terribly bad. I think losing Chris Paul was actually a help. I don't think he was helping them out. He wasn't.
I feel like he's kind of just kind of needs to start thinking about retirement, to be honest.
He's still all right. He's still a good player. Obviously, he knows the game. He has extremely high IQ. He can pass the ball.
Yeah.
But he's liability on defense. now that he's older and shorter, and all he can do is pass. He's kind of a streaky shooter. So I think Bradley Beal over him is good, but I think they may gave up too many bench pieces. Like their bench is
Oh yeah,
dire. Like it has nobody.
I don't know who's gonna come in and be able to step up for them. But
Mm-hmm.
but for Chris Paul, like I feel like he could kind of pull like the veteran role, kind of like what Derrick Rose and all these older ones are kind of doing, kind of
Yeah.
like helping the younger core, learn the game a little bit more.
Yeah. He's obviously at a higher level than what D Rose is after the injuries, but I see
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
saying.
yeah, for sure. I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But like I said, the defense, the flaws showed last year with the group they had in the second round against Denver. Like Jokic and Murray did. I mean, it was like whoever offense on anybody. Like there was no defensive help. It was the only reason they won those two games in uh, Phoenix was because Devin Booker and Kevin Durant literally had historic duo playoff scoring performances. Like they combined for like almost 90 points 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
Like that's just they took an unheard of offensive output and they barely beat them. It wasn't like they were killing them. It was just squeaking out victories. So I just don't really see it planning out very good. And I bet one of them gets injured.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, Booker and AD are injury prone severely. What do you think is going to happen with Ayton? Do you think he'll be a Sun by the end of the year? Still?
I honestly think if they want to build this team, I feel like they might need to keep him.
Really?
Yeah.
I think different. I think they're going to trade him at the deadline, and I think they need to for a couple role players and maybe like a defensive big like Steven Adams to hold like an actual force to a bully in the middle.
I mean, yeah. To be honest, like they got the scoring down. Like D Book, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, they're all guys that can score 30 points a game easily.
Mhm.
But DeAndre Ayton, all they need him in there is for defensive presence, to bully and get some rebounds. But like as you said, Steven Adams would be a really good addition for Phoenix.
Yeah, like just that kind of guy, like a
Yeah.
Steven Adams kind of player. Cody Zeller,
Yeah.
one of those kind of guys that really hard nosed, plays hard,
Mm-hmm.
rebounds. That's what they need.
Yeah.
Ayton, kind of a pansy at times.
Yeah, he is.
Kind of weak down there. Kind of gives up a lot of rebounds. And I mean, he plays hard when he's playing good, but when he's not getting the ball, he kind of
gets in his feels. Yeah.
kind of gets lackadaisical.
Like he gets upset whenever he's not getting his time to shine. It's kind of he wants his. He's more of like he don't seem like a team player as much.
How many wins do you think they're going to get this year?
If I had to guess, I feel like they're going to do pretty good. I'm gonna say probably 50, maybe 56.
Yeah, I have them anywhere from 48 to 52, depending on injuries and stuff like that and how they
Yeah.
match. But if KD goes out, I think it's going to drastically drop.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Maybe in the low 40s.
Yeah, I mean Devin Booker's good, Bradley Beal's good, but they definitely need Kevin Durant.
Yeah, kind of like if they don't have Kevin Durant, I think they're a 500 team.
Yeah,
Honestly.
yeah. I mean it's the same as like the Lakers. I mean everyone thought since LeBron, AD, Russell Westbrook, they thought they were gonna be able to just like mow over any competition, but like Westbrook's not like he was, so they obviously didn't do near as good as what people thought they were gonna be.
Fit matters. Like a lot of chemistry. It does
Mhm.
matter in the NBA, especially because you have some teams like the Brooklyn Nets last year. Everyone thought they'd be terrible after deadline, and they still competed. And they almost
Mhm.
they set out their two best players at the end, Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. But if they would have played them, they could have possibly been in the play-in. Like they still stayed competitive despite not having a real superstar.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'd like to go in. What are your thoughts after after the Suns super team? Another big point of the offseason, Victor Wembanyama. What are your thoughts on him?
I think he's really, really skinny, really lanky, kind of like Chet. But Chet has put on some weight. But he kind of reminded me of Giannis whenever he first got into the league. Kind of like he was so skinny. So maybe if he gets to the trainer and put on some weight, I feel like he'll maybe live up to those expectations.
Mhm.
But like in the offseason, like his debut, like it wasn't that hot. But that second game he came out, I forgot how many points he had, but he kind of shut up some haters there a little bit. But I feel like he's gonna be pretty decent. I don't feel like he's gonna be rookie of the year material.
I don't
But
think so either.
yeah.
I think the hype is a little too much hype. I don't think he's near as good of a prospect as LeBron was.
Yeah, I don't know why they're comparing them to.
LeBron, it was like he was famous worldwide at 18 years old. Like he was
Mhm.
he was so good that it was no doubt he was going to be good. And he has a really, really good offensive game. And obviously he's 7'6" or whatever he is. He's going to block shots.
Yeah,
like
he's ridiculous.
he's not going to have to even try to do on that end. But he's going to have to learn how to be quicker. Like you said in that first game, it was like he wasn't. He was like a step or two late on everything. Like it was moving just too quick for him to be able to catch up. And he's going to be slower, being that big. Despite he's going to have a nice handle. Obviously, you see the clips
Yeah.
on TikTok and Instagram, but I think it's going to be hard for him to adjust to how quick the game is and how uh, tough the guys are in the NBA.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a rude awakening, especially like he's only played in the off season. He hasn't went against the people that's been doing this for 10+ years.
Mhm.
You know, he doesn't like I don't feel like he's mentally ready. I feel like he thinks he might be able to come in here and run the show,
Mhm.
but we don't know. We'll see whenever the season starts.
I mean, he'll have a really good coach, Pop. He's had Tim Duncan, David Robinson. He has big guys that he's molded into. Even LaMarcus Aldridge, when he went to the Spurs, made him extended his career. Even he knows how to get those big men into positions to succeed. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm leaning more not toward. I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think it's going to almost impossible with his skill.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning more towards just being a good player, maybe a few All Stars. But I don't think he's going to be superstar MVP like everybody thinks he is.
He's not going to be like Hakeem or
No.
anything like that. He's definitely not going to be no LeBron.
No, I don't think so either. But I may be a little biased, but I don't think he's going to be, able to perform and lead a team and make that big of a difference when he's on and off the court as some of these other superstars, these foreign superstars lately, like Jokic, like we talked about the Nuggets, how good they are, and Luka, like he's the guy, like he can give you 50 a night if he wants to.
Yeah.
Like those, and Embiid just won an MVP. So I don't think he's going to be that big impactful, but you never know. I guess we could see next year.
Yeah, we'll see. So kind of shifting away from the whole Victor Wembanyama and our predictions, I kind of want to talk about something big that happened in this offseason with the midseason tournament. So I have seen some about it, but I know Chaylun's a little bit more. He knows a little bit more about how the midseason tournament is going to go. So if you want to tell them how it's going to be.
Okay. I'll give so every team in the NBA, I think there's 5 or 6 pools, and they're broken up based on skill and how good they are. And then like each pool winner will move on to bracket play in Vegas, like at the big tournament at the end. That's in the beginning of December, I think, end of November. But every Tuesday night game and Friday night game up to that point in the season will go towards your record in your pool. They have it scheduled out in the schedule. So you have to win your pool to be able to go on. It's the top 6 or the winners of each pool, and then the top 2 records left outside of that. So there'll be 8 teams in the bracket play. So there'll be quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. And the team that wins, each player on that team will get $500K for the winning team. And then the runner-up team, $200K for each player. If you make the semifinals, so 3rd and 4th place, will get $100K each. And then quarterfinals team, so if you make it to the final 8, each player gets $50K if you don't win, even if you don't win a game in the tournament. And that last however many games it is, the last 8 teams will play in Vegas. So do you think it's going to be a good addition to the season, or do you think it's kind of going to be just another thing and players aren't going to care about it and people sit out?
I feel like it's going to be – I feel like it's going to make the season more interesting. Like I feel like more people, like they're definitely going to bring in more viewers, especially for the first time doing it. They're definitely going to see like their numbers grow maybe. But I feel like it's going to keep these players – especially the ones that have been there longer, they're kind of used to the same thing every year. I feel like they're going to give them something to be excited about. And, like, of course, like, everyone's excited to get a ring, but that also gives them something else to work for and kind of keep them excited and keep it something fresh and new that they can keep doing. Because I know stuff gets repetitive, especially, like, with your job. And some of these players look at this as, like, it's their job because it is their job, but, yeah.
At that point in the season, it's really, really dead. Like, nobody really watches NBA. Kind of people keep up with it, obviously, but it's like football. The NFL is ramping up. College football is starting. College basketball is starting.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a lull. Like you're still not at the All-Star break yet. So that's when people kind of get back into it, and that's when the real race for the playoffs begin. And sometimes players just kind of play laid back. So I think having this will give them, $500K, that's nothing to sneeze at, even for an NBA player. $500,000, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I think that it'll drive people to go. And like you said, viewers, like I'm excited to watch it.
I am too.
Like I think it's going to be really cool. I'd love to go to Vegas and watch the games. I'm sure it's going to be an awesome atmosphere. They got that brand new arena, that sphere, like you see in the Summer League. They can put stuff on it. I'm sure it's an outstanding facility. And I think players are going to really, really want to win this. and it'll give them another trophy type deal to be like our team won this and we had this many wins kind of thing to add on to your resume.
Yeah, and it adds more accolades to the player. Like I'm sure they'll have like MVPs for this tournament. There's going to be multiple players that are going to be able to kind of add some more accolades to their what do you call it?
Season resume award list.
Yeah, their resume.
But do you think that the money is enough, or were you thinking of like some other kind of reward for the team that won, like maybe home court advantage in the finals if it's a West or East team kind of deal?
I mean, I feel like the money is good, especially for mid-season. But considering, especially where the NBA is now, they could definitely do something to kind of like up the antes.
Like for the team.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping maybe for like a guaranteed top 10 pick for the team that won. Give something for like the owners to like press and the coaches to press for their players to be like, hey, we need to win this.
Yeah.
They can mean a lot for the future of our franchise if we win this.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Or like I said, home court advantage in the finals. But I understand it needs to be based on record. But make it interesting. Give like the players something to, kind of like baseball. I don't know. You don't keep up with baseball much, but MLB, the All-Star game decides who has home field advantage in the World Series. Like something that's why people play a little bit harder. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So something like that is really really fun, I think. But I agree. I think the money is enough to get the players excited and to make them competitive games.
But also some of these guys like they'll get fined for that much money. Like if they do something outrageous, and they're just like it's chump change to them.
Yeah.
So maybe they may not think that it's like enough, but especially for like these younger guys that aren't signing like max deals, and especially rookies that are like on 2-ways or just like the rookie max contracts, whatever. That's a lot of money to them.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of money. And I think that it will be really really interesting to see how good some teams do, and if it has any correlation with their postseason success, how the atmosphere of the games will be different. I'm hoping it'll be similar to the bubble, because regardless of what people say, the bubble was some of the best basketball you could ever watch.
Yeah.
Like it was like everybody was throwing 100, you know what I mean? Like everybody was on top of their game. It was just basketball. There was no outside fans, press. It was just the best players in the world going at each other and getting buckets. It was just really, really fun to watch.
It was almost like pickups, but like it was like how still they didn't have to worry about the crowd. They didn't have to worry about none of that. Who won the bubble? Was it the Lakers?
Yeah.
Okay, so and there's people that discredit that championship because it was in the bubble.
Yeah.
Like they're still players. They play against each other. It's like any other game, But it's just like
it's like the most pure basketball. Like there was no injuries. Hardly everybody was able to get their rest because they no travel, and it just let all the top players play at their top level that they could.
The best health that they could be playing under. I mean, who went crazy during the bubble? Was it T.J. Warren?
Yeah.
Like T.J. Warren's not going to do that. Yeah. Like he was just healthy. He was confident. He didn't have to worry about what the fans and what the crowd had to think of him. He was just playing his game. But like LeBron, he played it. Like the Lakers, they played amazing in the bubble.
Yeah, they won a championship.
They won a championship. So
yeah, and like people like Duncan Robinson got a bag off of it, like $92 million. Now he's not good, like at all. He played terrible last year. Like almost like he had to resurrect his career in the playoffs. Luckily, he had a good run.
Yeah.
He's going to probably get traded now in the Dame trade, I think. But I had players like that. They got to like earn the next 3 or 4 years in the NBA because of how good they played. Even if it didn't pan out for them skill wise after the bubble, I think that it was really really good for the NBA and for the players in the league as well. I think a lot of them enjoyed it. If you ask them.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I think it's time we get to our awards, MVP, all that stuff, and who we think's going to win midseason tourney and the real NBA championship.
For the midseason tournament, I got the Nuggets winning it, dude.
That's who I have the Nuggets.
I feel like they're just, especially Jamal Murray, how he played in the playoffs. Like they did him wrong on 2K. I'm not gonna lie to you. He should have definitely been a higher overall for especially how he played in the playoffs. But yeah, I feel like the Nuggets, they're good. They have good team chemistry. Nikola Jokic he can run an offense to a T. Like he's just such a good facilitator and scorer. He's big, broad. He's a bully. He knows the game so well. So I feel like the Nuggets are gonna win the mid-season tournament.
Yeah, I have the Nuggets as well. When they're playing their best, you can't stop them. I mean, when Jokic is doing his thing, I mean, you seen it, the shots he was throwing in against the Lakers. Like AD was playing amazing defense on him. Like
the top of the key high arcing 3-pointer to
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Larry Bird shot over his head, never shoots that step back.
Yeah,
Like when they're playing good, like that 2-man game, and then having Michael Porter Jr. camping in the corner. Michael never swing the rock Porter. I mean,
I swear, ball.
he shoots the most pure shot I've ever seen for a 7-footer. So I mean, I think they're just too hard to beat, especially that early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're coming off the highest of highs, winning the first championship in Nugget history. So
Was this the first year Jamal Murray came back too?
he was hurt last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, he especially coming off an injury, like during the season, he wasn't like. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's like 18, 19, 20 points a game. Like he wasn't anything.
Yeah, but in
special.
the playoffs, he was lethal. Like nobody, it seemed like no one could guard him.
Mhm.
Like he was dropping like 20 points and a half.
Like he was rivaling Stephen Curry level of shooting and percentage wise. Like that's how good he's playing.
Yeah.
Who do you got for MVP?
For the MVP, I'm gonna go with Luka. I feel like Luka's gonna have a really good season, especially since he lost a bunch of weight. He's definitely gonna be quicker off the dribble, probably gonna be able to jump higher.
Yeah.
But defensively, I think that weight loss might hurt him. He might be able to get pushed around a little bit if he's down in the paint. But
yeah, his post up game may go down a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. And he'll have Kyrie for a whole year, even though the record wasn't good. They were still very competitive, and they were getting up big. But it's like when Kyrie and him were off the floor together, like neither of them were playing. That's when they lost the lead. So I think that the coach and Luka and Kyrie will figure out a way so maybe one of them will always be on the court, or if they're both off the court, instilled in those young guys. Hey, you got to play defense, even if you're not scoring. You got to let us have a rest so we can come back in. Let stars be stars, kind of deal.
But of course, like my pick is a little bit biased because I love Luka. I really want to see him succeed.
Yeah. So you think this is the year he makes the jump to MVP? Yeah, everybody's been talking about it for a few years. So
yeah.
I got Jokic. I got the Joker winning it this year.
Again? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Embiid won it last year, but yeah.
I think he should have won it. Last year, I think it gives kind of a sympathy MVP for Embiid. I mean, he averaged 25, 12, and 10 at center, which is
ludicrous.
Yeah, just insane, man.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that he does at the center position is just
it's outrageous.
Yeah. He's an amazing passer. He scores whenever he feels like it. Like if he wants to go score 20 in a quarter, he'll do it.
Yeah.
And
he's literally bigger than everybody, so like he could just literally do anything he wants.
Yeah, I think he'll get him to another 1 seed if there's no injuries. If Jamal Murray and Michael Porter stay healthy, which is Michael Porter's a big question mark. He's had a lot of injuries in his career, but I think they'll get back to 58 to 60 wins this year with him, and I think that'll secure him as the MVP.
If they all stay healthy, I feel like for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? They might win it all again.
Yeah, who knows? We'll talk about our predictions after that here in a minute.
Yeah. But who do you have for Defensive Player of the Year?
I got Jaren Jackson winning it again, back to back.
Jaren Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
I got Jarrett Allen.
Jarrett Allen, really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. He's just
Defensive Player of the Year, Jarrett Allen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? What's wrong with that?
Nothing. It's a surprising pick.
Am I thinking of someone different? He's the center for the Cavs, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's like a horrific pick. Like he has no chance. But I'm just saying it caught me off guard. It's surprising. No one ever really, no one's really talking about it.
I kind of want to throw it a little curveball,
Yeah.
Because like he surprised me a lot.
Yeah, he plays really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that scares me though is he had that comment about how the lights are brighter in the playoffs and they were just a little too bright. It kind of scares me with his big game potential.
I feel like he was just trying to find an excuse, maybe.
Yeah, he could have. Yeah,
but I don't know. It seems like no one else has ever had an issue with that.
No, it doesn't. I mean, some players they have the yips. They just can't play in big games. But I think he's just young. He was just, like you said, trying to make an excuse. But
yeah,
I mean, he's a great defender.
Yeah.
But I got him. I got Triple J winning it. Last year he averaged 3 blocks a game, which is pretty good, and he averaged a steal to go along with it. And he still got career highs in points and rebounds as well. And he'll have a bigger workload without Jaw the first 25. So I think he'll have to play more minutes. And hopefully he's matured enough to where he cuts down on his fouls. Because last year he averaged like almost 4 fouls a game. And he fouled out of a lot of big-time games. And I know that really, really hurts the Grizzlies when he's off the court because he's their number 2. And at some nights he's their guy. Like they rely on him heavily. So I think he'll need to mature. But I really, really think that he'll go back to back. I think he'll do it.
Yeah.
And then what about, I know it's a lot of talk about Wemby for Rookie of the Year, but who do you got for winning it?
I got Scoot.
Scoot Henderson.
I like Scoot. Yeah, he's a big old boy.
Mm-hmm. For a guard, yeah, he's short, but he's a stocky dude.
Yeah. I feel like he's going to impress a lot of people. Like he obviously has a lot of hype around him. And I don't know, I just feel like I don't feel like Wemby's, I don't know. I just don't see Wembanyama winning it. But I feel like Scoot's got a better run at it.
Yeah, and that clip of him dunking in the G League at night, I could watch it all day. That is just top tier athleticism. That just shows you how athletic these NBA guys are compared to you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Regardless of how you're watching, but he's a 6 foot 2 guard, and he's doing that.
Yeah, it's
Like,
insane. Like,
this is-
who do you have winning it?
I got Chet Holmgren.
Chet? Yeah.
Mhm.
I was thinking either Chet or Scoot. Yeah.
Yeah, he had to sit out last year because of the injury he had. But I think he's gonna put up like really really big numbers offensively. Like the guys that he has behind him, they all believe in him. He gained 20 pounds of muscle.
Mm-hmm.
He's been working on his game, and he's especially the strength aspect of it because that's his biggest critique. And I don't know if you've seen the Josh Giddey comment. They had that post where it's like, showed a picture of Chet, and it was like, your battery percentage is the chance that Chet will win. And Josh Giddey retweeted it or commented on it. It was like,
Mine's fully
fully
charged. Yeah.
Yeah. So that just proves that the guys on the team know how good he is and want him to succeed. So I got a strong feeling that he is going to make a big run for it, and I think he'll win it pretty landslide victory actually, in my opinion. I don't think
Really?
it'll be a competition. I
Yeah.
like Scoot a lot. I think he's going to be a hooper. Like I think he's going to get it done, especially if Dame gets traded. Like it'll be his team in Portland.
Oh yeah.
So I think that he'll I think Chet will get it done. For 6-man, I got stay close to our roots. Arkansas, I got Malik Monk winning it.
Oh, Malik Monk. Yeah, he's
Mhm.
solid, dude.
He had a great year with Sacramento last year. He averaged
Mhm.
almost 14 a game and 4 assists, and he shot 36% from 3, and he had a high volume of 3 shot. That's all
Yeah.
he did when he came in. He was just a pure scorer.
So he can stroke it, dude.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the best high school mixtapes I've ever seen. But with mine, I'm gonna be a little bit more biased since I'm a huge New York Knicks fan. I'm gonna say Emmanuel Quickly. I feel like he's gonna be. I mean, he was pretty good. He was I'm pretty sure he was in the running for it last year. So I feel like especially now that we have Jalen Brunson, I feel like he's gonna. They're gonna be a little bit more comfortable playing together, and I feel like Emmanuel Quickly is definitely gonna be able to step up. So.
He had a couple of huge, really big playoff games.
Oh yeah,
last
for
year.
sure.
And towards the end of the season, I remember he had that game against Boston,
Mhm.
double or triple overtime, where he had almost 50 or whatever. So he has the ability to score at will, especially when Jalen Brunson's down, or even when he's out there with him.
Yeah.
If he can get Julius Randle to quit taking shots from him.
Yeah, Julius Randle will literally go like 1 for 19, but he's still shooting it. I mean, I guess it's a confidence thing, but like you have Emmanuel Quickly playing good. Sometimes Quentin Grimes is playing good, and then you got Jalen Brunson playing good. Go to one of those guys. Play defense.
Mhm.
So
I don't know. He doesn't have that in his mind. I don't think. I think he thinks he's the guy.
I feel like he's jealous.
Yeah.
Like he kind of wants to be the guy, but he kind of knows Jalen Brunson's still in the spotlight from him.
Yeah.
But who do you have for your most improved player of the year?
It's kind of a tough category because you never know who's going to make a jump
Mm-hmm.
and everyone. But I really, really like Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, he's really good.
I think that
He got traded too, didn't he?
it's Brooklyn at the end
Yeah.
of the year. At the end of the year last year, and he had when he was the guy, he was just like a whole different player than he was with Phoenix. Like he wasn't taking a backseat offensively anymore. He was still doing his thing on defense like he does, but he was also getting the shots that he deserved, I think. And it just showed how good and how polished his offensive game is. I looked it up after the All-Star break. Can you have any idea how much he averaged points-wise?
After the All-Star break?
Mhm.
22 points a game.
26 a game.
Really?
26, 4.5, and 2.7 assists after being traded to the Nets last year. And I didn't look it up, but I'm sure it was a crazy percentage from 3. It seemed like he wasn't missing. So I really think he's going to make a push to be an All-Star. I think he's going to be one of those guys, first All-Star, and maybe a sneaky All-Star starter in the East
Mm-hmm.
for me. So
Okay, well, for me, I'm being biased again. I feel like the most improved player is going to be Jalen Brunson, considering how he played last year. I feel like he probably could have won it last year, but
was he an All-Star last year?
I don't think so.
Was he an All-Star?
I don't think he was. I don't even think he was a reserve or anything. But yeah. Yeah, but for the Knicks, he was just an outstanding player, like especially in the playoffs run. Like Julius Randle, it seems like he couldn't catch a spark. Like I don't know what it is, but Julius Randle in the playoffs is very, very bad. I don't know why, but like regular season, he's really good. Well, he has his nights where he's like outstanding. He's like, okay, well, he deserves to be the guy. But honestly, as a Knicks fan, I don't want Julius Randle to be our guy. I kind of would like to get rid of him and build around Jalen Brunson. And kind of like just get better players to make Jalen Brunson better.
Yeah, he was like one of the biggest snubs last year as an All-Star. Like I thought like when we were talking, I was like, he's definitely wasn't an All-Star. There's no way he wasn't. And I went and looked, and yeah, he wasn't an All-Star. I couldn't believe that he wasn't.
Yeah, he definitely should have been, or a reserve or something.
Yeah. Coach of the year. I know it's kind of hard to pick who you think the team is, but I got Joe Mazzulla for Boston. I mean, they had an amazing regular season last year, and I know they lost Smart, which will hurt defensively, but not really terribly because, I mean, Brown plays defense and Tatum
Oh yeah.
is trying to, be like he's the number one guy in the world. Like he said, like I need to play like that. So he needs to learn how to play defense like these other stars do in big games. So I think that they'll get in that mindset. They want to win. They feel like they should have beat the Warriors 2 years ago, and they feel like they kind of let themselves down by losing to the Heat like they did. So I think that they'll do that, and getting rid of Smart will free up some shots for Jalen
Yeah.
Brown and Tatum as well. So I think they'll have offensive jumps while also adding Porzingis.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think hopefully that'll revitalize his career. I know you love Porzingis.
I love
for the Nets.
Kristaps. Yes,
Mhm.
he was very very injury prone on the Knicks. I mean, I think he still is. Like, but yeah, whenever Kristaps was out, yeah, we heard a lot. Like, we had Michael Beasley, but he stepped up in his role. I'm not gonna lie, Michael Beasley was a bucket, dude. He averaged like 30 whenever Kristaps was hurt.
Mhm.
But still, like Kristaps is a good player. I feel like he's gonna help them out a lot.
Nothing so too. I mean, he seems like he always plays hard, especially defensively. He was always able to get a couple blocks a game. He was rotating, he was playing hard, and I think that'll mean a lot. He'll have a big guy that can get to the rim and score. I mean, they had Al Horford, but I mean he's
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, he's
And
old.
he's not really banging down low anymore. He's kind of a perimeter threat now.
Yeah.
So I think Porzingis is a really, really good addition, and I think the Celtics will get to 57 to 60 wins somewhere in there,
Oh
which
yeah.
will be enough to get Mazzulla the coach of the year. And he's so young. This will just be his second year coaching after stepping in for Uda, the guy who cheated on his wife and slept with that girl from the Celtics staff last year. So I think that'll be a good spot for him to hopefully repeat on last year and say it wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
Now for the biggest prediction. Who you got winning it all? NBA champs.
I'm gonna have to go with the Lakers. I
That's
feel
what
like
got.
the Lakers,
I got Lakers.
especially like with their additions, like their role player additions, kind of like Cam Reddish and all them. Who's the other guy? Rui.
Hachimura signed
Yeah,
back, yeah.
yeah, he signed back. I feel like they're gonna make a good run. Oh, um, yeah, especially if Anthony Davis stays healthy. Like he's like the Lakers, they were good. Like they're good last year, but Anthony Davis, he's kind of like he seems like he'll get hit on the elbow and he's like wants to sit out. But I feel like they'll definitely. I feel like they have a good chance of winning it all.
Yeah, I got the Lakers as well. Big LeBron guy, and I think that he really wanted it last year, but he just it's almost like he didn't have the legs. Like he couldn't. Anthony Davis, I call him Anthony Day-to-Day Davis.
Day-to-day.
You just never know what you're going to get from him, and I think that he was. I mean, he's got to rely on him. I mean, and he's 39 years old. I mean, I know he's LeBron, but it's hard for him to go night in and night out and give you 48 when you're that old. I don't care what anybody says, like hating on him, but you just can't do that.
Nobody's doing that at that age.
No, but I think that with the pieces he has, like I said, Gabe Vincent being important guard, taking some usage away from him, D'Lo coming back off a career year from three, shooting over 40% from three, and then Reeves coming back with all the confidence he has. I think that it'll just be really, really good for the Lakers, and I think that they'll make the jump and hopefully win it.
Okay, so now we're kind of gonna transition into our high school basketball memories. It's like our coach and like what we achieved as high school players. So I know Chaylun has some stories prepared about our coach and like kind of like how we were as a team. So if you want to take it away, you can.
We moved back to our school in 8th grade, and that's when we got our new coach. And he was a pretty ruthless guy. We were all kind of scared of him, but he started like laying the foundation for us skill wise. Like we started to learn how to play together, how to dribble better, how to shoot better. That was the main thing. Shooting was what he was focusing on. But we were all really scared of him. We were all kind of scared to play for him, but we were terrible. I don't know if you remember much from that year, but we were pretty terrible that year.
Oh yeah, yeah. Trust me, I remember. Yeah, it was a rough one.
Yeah, that was the year that we played a team, a rival, and we were up by almost 20 points and then almost lost. But to us, it was big because we won a game. But we had to run the next day in practice. We were all wondering why we had to run. But
Yeah.
but after that, our next year, our freshman year, it was like kind of everything started going together. We had all of our guys back, and we only lost 2 games that year. We won the district tournament.
We played really, 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 really good as a team that year. Like our offense was spaced out. Our coach really harped on our shooting and our defense. Like he wanted us to play as hard as we could on defense because obviously defense wins games. But yeah, so we full court pressed a lot, especially as freshmen. Like we were able to just break down offensive just by doing our full court pressing and stuff like that. So
and then after that, once we moved to senior high, we ended up making the regional tournament, almost making the state tournament. But the big thing that year was winning the Kell tournament, which is like a really big area tournament for us. It means a lot to our school, and it was really big, and it was also the first year that both boys and girls from the same school won the tournament.
Yeah.
So that meant a lot to all the hometown fans and everything, and it meant a lot to me. I know that, and it was really emotional because it's in the town that I was from, even though the school was no longer there, but it still was like really really big for a lot of the kids on the team.
It was really competitive. Like everyone came out there like ready to go to war. So it was fun. It was loud atmosphere. Like that gym, like it got loud. It was kind of a small gym, but I'm telling you, whenever the crowd was going crazy, you could literally feel the whole place shake.
Yeah, the stands were full, and there was like 2 or 3 standing on the baseline. Like there wasn't even hardly any room to pass the ball in. The refs would have to move them back.
Yeah.
It was really loud, ear piercingly loud.
And the news came and covered it. Yeah.
Yeah, KAIT was there, and it was a pretty big deal for us and for the fans. Next year, that was the big year. That's a big jump. We had a okay regular season. You know,
it was more like after Christmas we kind of like
turned it on. Yeah, we kind of all came together and started playing really good.
But the first half of the season, it seems like we were having issues, like in the locker room, especially like we had some guys that were beefing, and kind of like it was more like people getting to play over certain people. Like they were just kind of like chirping about that, and it's like our chemistry was kind of up and down, especially before Christmas. But after Christmas, something like coach sat us down, asked us what was wrong. We had a big switch after Christmas. It helped us out a lot.
Yeah, heart to heart talk from him.
Yeah,
like what our goals really were for that season. We ended up turning it on at the right time. Won a lot of the conference games at the end of the year, and had a really good seed. Won district easily. We didn't win a game by less than 25 points.
Yeah,
like we were kind of blowing everybody out. Went to regionals, held a team to 8 points, 10 points in a regional tournament game. Which is
really
Bismarck. Which is really impressive. Our coach was kind of talking about how they had the best big men in the state and all kinds of stuff, and we had them to 8 or 10 points. So
the start of the game was kind of looking kind of scary.
They went up 4-0.
Yeah, that's the first time that was like the first time that we got out. Like first time we didn't score first.
Yeah, we were the underdog all year. Like nobody expected us to be as good as we were, and we kind of was able to go out and throw the haymaker right at the start of the game. That's kind of how we set the tone.
Yeah, our starting out play was almost a guaranteed bucket at the start of the game if we won the tip.
Yeah.
So.
But that year we went to the regional finals. We lost to the team that we would face in the state finals. Actually made a deep run and went to the state finals, which was a shock even to us. Even during the state tournament, I remember thinking, "Oh, this is pretty cool," but I didn't have any thoughts of making it to the state finals. It was never in my. That's probably why we played so good, because nobody had that in mind that we were going to make it to the state finals.
Especially before Christmas, like we had no idea, but
maybe make it. That's our goal, was to make it to the state tournament.
Make it to the state tournament. I think that was our goal.
It hadn't been done since 2000, something crazy.
Yeah, it was a long time.
It was like 18 to 20 years our school had not made it to the state tournament. So
it
was really, really big for us to do what we did. The next year, we had all the hype. We had mostly everybody coming back besides a few guys. So it was core guys, and we had 1 or 2 guys that would make a difference coming up. And then some guys got better and got to play. But
we did lose a pretty good scorer.
Yeah, but for the most part, the core guys.
Yeah.
We had a whole starting 5 came back.
Yeah, whole starting 5.
Yeah. That year, that was what we lost 3 games.
Yeah.
4 year into the postseason.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 into the postseason.
Probably. I don't really remember.
Like we didn't lose very many games that year. Maybe we lost 5 or 6 all year. But we went in and we did our thing in district like we did same as last year. Had a big showing from one of the guys that moved up. District finals helped us propel us over that and win that tournament. Went into regionals, and we won our first game, and we went back to a team in the semifinals regionals that we had beat twice all year, but they were really, really good. And you can't, it's almost impossible to be a good team 3 times. Like, we game planned, we played our hearts out. That's one thing we did. We left it all on the floor every night, and we just couldn't beat them a third time, so we ended up losing that game.
That's the same team that we were down 15 going to the 4th, right?
Same year, yeah.
And then we came back in the 4th quarter, and we just came out with so much energy, and our coach kind of put us in the mindset. It's like, how bad do y'all want it?
Yeah, but he kind of was like, I'm done coaching. Like, I'm tired of it. If you're not going to play hard for me, he kind of just let us. He was like, you don't want to play. Kind of did that thing where he sits on the end of the bench. You know,
he kind of
crosses his legs, sits there and watches us play.
Yeah.
Like kind of coach yourself. You don't listen to me, coach yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember huddling up and being like, we can beat them. Like, they're beatable, and we're better than they are, so let's go out and do it. And we kind of just rallied together. We had a senior, like you said, that we lost, came off the bench, and he was a really good scorer. And then we had our point guard, who was really good, and we kind of just got it done. We kind of played our defense, slowed them down how he wanted it, and ran our offense, and we just came back. It was biggest win of the year, in my opinion. That was kind of the the turning point that year
Yeah,
for the
for
state
sure.
finals run. But our senior year, we lost, and then going into the state tournament, we had to play the host
Oh yeah, that was
in the
ridiculous.
first round, and that was actually a lot of people's pick for us versus them in the state finals.
Yeah,
Because if we would have won or got second in our district, we would have been on our regional. We'd have been on completely different sides of the bracket than they were. So that was everybody's pick. And I hate to say that Rest lost somebody the game, but officiating was pretty horrendous
it was
against that
pretty
team.
bad.
It was pretty bad.
Can't even lie. But we also didn't play great. But we played hard on defense. I feel like that's what kept us in the game.
What was the atmosphere was still? I mean, we were
Oh, yeah.
3 hours away, and we still had a whole side of the gym packed out.
Oh, everybody came.
So
I'm telling you, it was.
we had people so confident in us though to win it that year that people had bought hotel rooms for all weekend so we could play first round, second round, third round of state.
I honestly thought we were gonna win it all. Like I mean, like we lost on a pretty upsetting game-winning 3 on an inbound play, kind of a buzzer beater breaking the backboard. It was heartbreaking. Definitely not a way to go out.
It was on me.
Yeah,
Sadly.
it was on Chaylun. Sadly, it was very heartbreaking. I remember crying, and then like one of the guys that played, like graduated a couple years before, he went up and hugged me, and a guy in the stands was like, "Quit crying, you big baby." But yeah, it was. And our coach after the game, he was sobbing. It was pretty upset. It was pretty sad.
That's one thing about us. Our group, even when we weren't good, we listened to what he said, did everything he told us to do, and we give it everything we had. We truly never, like he told us, we never lost a game. We just always ran out of time. Like that game, we roared back with like down 8 with like a minute left, and we never quit. If it had went to overtime, we'd easily beat them.
Oh yeah,
If they wouldn't have got that shot to go in, we'd easily beat them.
we literally just ran out of time.
Yeah, but that is kind of like an overview of all of our, all our years going through basketball and our coach. But do you have any stories you remember about our coach that you'd like to share? Kind of what he was all about.
So our coach was like, if I'm telling you, like in practice, especially practice, like there was like no fun was to be had. Okay, if you were laughing, if you were trying to have a good time at practice, he was not having that. So one big thing he wanted us to like, you see this in players like especially Allen Iverson's like you're talking about practice, but practice is literally what makes the team like good. So like we had enough players to where we had like a white team and a red team, and our red team was our starting 5, and like we're kind of like probably like our 6-7 started, the 6-7 guys that we played like mostly, and then our white team was like the bench players, people who came off the bench, etc. But we kind of like tried to play like we were in a game, like we were going at each other. Our coach was he really set us up for success, honestly. But he was very, very intimidating. He was a scary man, but he was a really, really good coach. So I know Chaylun's got a funny story about him. He was pretty hard on Chaylun. Okay, so I got a funny story from my perspective on like what happened this day. We weren't having the greatest practice, and our coach was kind of heated. I'm not gonna lie to you. And Chaylun, he always wanted Chaylun. Like there was this conditioning we used to do called pressure free throws, and coach like all of us will line up on the line, and everyone would shoot 2 free throws. And if you missed one, it was like a down and back. If you missed both of them, it was like a line drill. Or if you missed one, it was a half court and back. And if you missed both, it was a full court and back. And we were missing a lot of free throws, and also coach wasn't too happy about that. But then Chaylun gets up there, and he misses his free throw. Or was it like a 1-and-1? Like if you made a free throw, you got to shoot another one. It was something like that. But Chaylun misses his free throw, and Coach Bateman had his back turned, and Chaylun rolls the ball to coach. And
I probably threw it and bounced it. I wasn't like throwing it at him.
Yeah, he was
like throwing it over so he could grab it while he ran.
Yeah, so he was pretty much.
And everybody else had done this. Like it was like if they missed a free throw, you grab the ball and throw it to him. Like it wasn't like I was just out of the ordinary throwing the ball at him.
Yeah, he was like, "Are you kidding me? You gonna throw the ball at me because you missed your free throw because you're angry?" And
lucky you missed.
You're lucky you missed. But he was like, "You know why you missed that free throw challenge? Because you don't practice. You don't practice your shot." And yeah, he was digging into Chaylun, and then we ended up having to run. And I don't know if he made us keep running. I don't know how I forgot. It's kind of foggy, but yeah, he won. I think he made you shoot until you made it,
Yeah,
right?
he kept calling me back out there to shoot the free throw. I have a good one. Same like making us run. When we were in junior high, we had a guy on our team that kind of wasn't. He was liked, but he's a little annoying. He's a little younger than us. He's a little annoying. Yeah. And, well, a couple of the guys on our team, same age as us, they decided it'd be funny to take him into the stall and give him a swirly. Well, they ended up actually not doing it. But anyways, after that, his mom came to the school, and, something had to be done about it. So we get to practice that day, and we had a game. It was the tournament final. Some tournament we were playing in the finals of it. And anyways, usually game day practices, we just shoot around, go over what the other team runs, and kind of run what offense we're going to run that day. But we get there, and you could tell when he was mad. His veins were popping out of his forehead.
Oh
He
yeah.
had a shorter haircut, so you kind of tell when he was angry.
He usually done the signature thing. Like whenever we were outside shooting, getting ready for practice, he'd be like, "Hey, y'all go to the locker room," and we were like, "Oh God, like this is not good."
Mm.
So I'm pretty sure he did it that day. Maybe not.
Not that day.
Maybe he just kind of like cut to the chase.
No, he does the thing where he just crosses his arms and kind of looked around and wasn't really talking to anybody when they came up and talked to him.
Yeah.
Well, he calls us to the baseline like always, and he asks what happened, and nobody will say anything. He didn't talk about the swirly specifically. He just asked something about our teammates, like being better teammates. Well, he was like, all right, since nobody wants to confess up what happened, we'll run. And so we were running half court and back because the other end of the P-bin was getting.
It was a weight room, right?
Yeah, it was the weight room at the time because the weight room was getting done.
Yeah.
So we were running back and forth, and we kept doing it, and finally he had enough of it. And he got in this dude's face that did it and was like, said something along the lines of, he's your freaking teammate. And so something that you did all the time, made fun of him. He thought it was funny a couple years later,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that was really funny. And then he got into another player who said that he hoped we lost the game before. He's the same dude that he had the swirly, and because he wanted to go hang out with his girlfriend. So he wasn't very happy that day, but this is kind of the mantra that he had to all of us. Like he was always really, really angry.
Oh yeah, like if coach was telling us to go into a drill and he would count down, especially if he was angry, he'd be like 5, 4, like just count down from 5. And if we didn't get to our spot in that drill, by the time he counted down on the baseline.
Yeah.
So like we would have to get on the baseline, have to run, and then would be all. It's usually a 5 and 60, which is 5 down and backs in 60 seconds. And after that, would be dead, like gasping for air, like crawling to the water fountain. But coach would start counting down again, so we'd have to run back. And if we didn't make it in time again, we'd have to get back on the baseline. So that's kind of like how our coach was.
Yeah, about running. We ran a lot.
Yeah, we did.
We were a very conditioned team.
Yeah,
And he helped us out.
especially like 10th grade, like 9th, 10th, and 11th grade.
I have another story that's actually really, really funny. We used to go hang out in the locker room sometimes, and we just hang out in there before our game, like if the junior high girls game was going on or the senior high girls, like whatever's before us. And we were goofing around, and we had this beam that ran diagonal up to the ceiling.
Because our locker room was under the bleachers.
Yeah, so it was like the support beam that went up to the, I don't know if you can imagine it. It had 2 things on it, and a couple of our guys on our teams were twins. They kind of had like Daredevil in them. They did crazy stuff.
They were crazy.
Yeah, so he was scaling this thing, and people had been doing it and like getting to the end and like climbing down the big, huge X beams that came all the way down, like you slide down it. Well, he gets about halfway up it, which his feet were probably 6, 7 foot off the ground, so he was probably hanging at like 12, 13 foot. And our coach comes in and opens the door, and it's just everybody kind of turning with their head. And Coach Bateman and he looks around at all of us, and he sees him up in the air, and all he says is, "Get down." Well, instead of climbing back down, he just lets go of the beam.
He lets go like 12 feet up in the air. It lands on his feet.
And he hits hard that his butt hits the ground. And he just stands back up.
He didn't land it. He fell so high. His butt literally bounced off. He broke his tailbone.
But we all sit up, and our coach was like, "Get out of here!" And we all kind of ran out. And after he's like, his ankles had to be, like when you do off a swing set, just like staticky.
He had no feeling, and he was paralyzed from the waist down after that. Dude, he had definitely developed scoliosis from that drop.
Yeah. Well, that was a pretty funny time that we had with him.
Yeah, that was. Okay, so for now we're gonna wrap up the podcast. So what we're planning on doing for these podcasts going forward, we're gonna have a poll kind of at the end of the podcast, which you can do on Spotify, and if you're YouTube, you can leave your answer in the comments. So I guess it's gonna be like a question of the pod, pretty much. So it's gonna be a random question. If you made it this far, you get to kind of indicates like who, like, you know, if you guys made it this far. So our question of the pod today is, it's kind of a funny one, but do you wear, like, especially for the guys, it's more towards like the guys. If you wear swimming trunks whenever you're swimming, do you wear underwear or do you not wear underwear? Me personally, I wear underwear.
No, I get chafed if I don't wear underwear.
Yeah, I'm not going commando under my swimming trunks. Listen, no, ain't no way. But yeah, we appreciate you listening, stopping by, tuning in. Find us on Instagram. You can follow us on there at AOD Pod, and you can also find us on Spotify. What you're listening to, if you're listening to Spotify, you can find us on YouTube at Any Other Day with Chaylun and Ross. If you're listening to us on YouTube, you can find us on Spotify at Any Other Day with Chaylun and Ross.
And just thank you for listening. And podcasts should go up on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week.